Well, guys, I get asked all the time about green screens. Are they good? What quality should I buy? What colors? Getting all the chromas. Can the lighting, will they fit into a small space, or do I need a big room to do it in? And I want to answer all those questions for you today. Yes, it's 101 Media Group Behind the Scenes Technical. Now, we do have behind the scenes building and growing a successful business. That's for our patrons. At the end of this video, I'm going to do another session on there for you guys, so don't go anywhere. And if you're not a patron, please check us out. See what you think. I'm sure you'll find it really helpful if you're looking at building a business. Okay, green screens. Here are a lot of stories. So what I did, I ordered a couple of cheap green screens from eBay of all prices. And then I thought I would even make life more complicated. I thought I'd buy the cheap softbox lighting to go with it as well. And let's see what kind of results we can get. Okay, a couple of things that I did find with the cheap screens was the material is rather thin. And yes, they're sitting behind me, but I guess when you're looking, they look rather solid. All I did is I just put some black curtains around the back of them. One of the other things I noticed was that even though the green screen cloth came in 3.6 wide, which is absolutely fantastic, by 3.6 long, the actual stands themselves were only just over 2 meters tall. Now, I'm 2 meters, I'm a 6'5" guy, so they just weren't tall enough. So I want to show you, I'm going to take you around, I'm going to grab hold of this camera and walk you around some of the techniques that what I've used to make these cheap green screens work. Are they worth it? Well, absolutely. They work. And at the end of the day in business, that's exactly what we're after. Let's have a look at how I've put some of this together. And by the way, it's been linked by the cheapest of the cheap softbox lighting from eBay as well, and I will show you some of the results. Let's go have a look how I actually set this up so we can get the results and destroy some of those myths about they've got to be perfect. No, they don't. Let's go. Okay, one of the things that I want to mention at the start is I've done this for people on a budget. I know there's a lot of business people out there, money's tight, you want to do these things, you want to create some videos for yourself, maybe using your phone, and you're going to put it through like a really simple program just to get the effects. But it doesn't matter whether you're an amateur or a pro, this system still works. So what I've done to clip it on here, I've used the cheapest of cheapo Bulldog clips. I didn't even buy any special clips for this. I've just pulled it tight on each end and wrap it. I'm going to show you how to do a wraparound green screen as well with this thing, so you can have multiple people in a very small area, and then how to actually light it properly. Now remember at the beginning I actually said about them being too short. I had a couple of old coffee tables, you can have a stack of books, whatever, put them up on them. You're just trying to raise it, 450 mil, something like that, just to get them up to that 3 meter height, so that when you stand up, they're actually above you. So you're not even doing any of that masking and worrying about arms or anything like that going out of the way. Yep, this is the budget episode. Look, these things, if I hold it here, this is quite thin, but as I say, I put black behind it. Now, a subtle advantage that comes from using a table, believe it or not, you use the cheap stuff and all of a sudden you go, that's quite good, that works out quite well for me, is that if you notice, it's bending over the bottom here. So when I lay the green screen across the floor, the table has actually created a natural curve coming down and across the floor, because the table itself is sticking out a little bit, because it's a bit wider than the actual the stand that's holding the green screen up, the green stand pole, and so it's actually created a natural curve in there. That's just a bonus that even I wasn't expecting, but I've just built this and thrown it up, and it is working really well. What I want to show you is that a lot of times when you're doing interviews, you want to get a couple of people in there, and your camera's going to go and you're going to go, the green screen's going off the edge and I can't quite see it, and you're going, oh, I've got to do masking. For some people that gets a little bit tricky, and it's adding things into post. So what I thought I'd do, I bought another green screen. I bought two at the time, and I just want to show you how I made it a wraparound green screen, so you're kind of forming a corner, and some of the hints and tips to make this work for you so you don't get those sharp edges and lines and any issues. By the way, my green screen does have creases in it. It does have lines in it. But with softbox lighting, and just a bit of adjustment on your chroma keying, they'll come out. You really don't need to get the iron out and iron them completely flat. Let's go to the other corner and I'll show you how I attached the wraparound and what I did to avoid any shadowing there and create a more seamless look to it. Let's go. Hi guys, well you can see my shadow being cast on. I'm actually sitting a little bit or standing a little bit close to this thing right now. What I want to show you is the actual joint in here. All I've done is with the second screen, the Bulldog clips are what's holding it by the way, is I've run this screen in, I've just folded over the edge and then tucked it in there. Work from the top so I can get my arm behind and tucked it down. And what I've done with this one is I've set this screen at an angle. So it actually runs off here at about a 15-degree slope away from the main one. So I've got one flat one and this running away. And again on this end, as you can see, El Cheapo Bulldog clips, not a problem. And at the top, if I can swing this around, let's see if I can get a shot. There you go. I've got one pole sitting here and I've used this one, I've just set it on top so I get a nice fine line. You'll get people saying, does this crease show up in video? No. I'm actually going to show you how that works and how easy, because it's nice and straight, it just gets washed out. Now, I'm going to flick the camera around just so you can see what I've done with some of the softbox lighting. Now, these two behind me here, I've just set one above the other, and they're coming down this side here, and then, sorry if I'm making you dizzy guys, and just across this back area here. So they're lighting this corner, they're coming at an angle, high and low, and where my people sit, if I can just, I'm going to walk over here so you can actually see where I've actually put this set, and sorry I bumped into something there, you can see where the chair is. So those lights are coming down the side of the actual person or the talent who's sitting there. So that was you, they're actually coming down the side of you. Now, over on the other side, here we go. This is what happens when you walk around with cameras. This one here is actually lighting across this side of the screen. Let's have a look around here. Okay guys, so what I've got here is just a very cheap battery-operated LED light, straight off eBay as well. It came with a pole, which is fantastic. Slip it on, some barn doors just to try and deflect the light a little bit. And what I do with this is I put it on here, on the outside of the green, and I point it towards the back of the talent. So what it's doing is casting a light this way now and trying to break the talent away from the green screen. Now the other one I do, I'm just going to turn the camera around. I'm trying to leave it on the pole so I don't, it comes a little bit more steady for you, is I've got this little pocket one. Once again, a little battery operated light, has the batteries on the back, turn it on, there you go. And what I do with this, I'm going to leave it on so you can just see what it actually does, is I pop it on the floor behind the person into that corner crease. And what that is doing now is shining a light up. So when the person sits here, that light is coming from behind their head. And those two lights, I think they were about $40 each or something. They break the subject off the green screen itself and give you a really clean key. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to set up the cameras and I'm going to show you what keying actually looks like. Honestly, you don't have to spend a fortune on green screens. I'm going to prove it to you right now. You're going to see how very, very simply, and I'm just going to use my keyer, my A10 switcher keyer, because they are not that accurate in themselves. They've got a little bit left to be desired there. But we're going to show you the 3 settings on that to get a really nice, clean key using this background. I'll set it up. Don't go anywhere. Okay guys, here we are at the desk. What I've done is just put a little globe out on the table and we've got our green screens there. I've got the keyer loaded up, so on the screen you'll be able to see, if I move this one to one side, you'll be able to see what's happening. I've put a little TV set up there as well so we can see the green. Let's just have a play around with the sliders. There are 3 sliders we're going to play with. One is going to be hue. That's going to be for getting our colour green out of the process. The grain, you'll see when I start playing around with that what grain will do. And the other one is suppress. There is another one called lift, and if you've got it lit the way we've got it with the 4 soft boxes and just a little black background behind that just to give that green screen a little bit of body, you will not have a problem. Let's have a play and let's see what happens. Okay. Okay guys, here we are at the computer station. So we're going to try and take out this cheap green screen so I can show you the effect, show you some of the things that does happen. We're going to be playing with 3 of the settings for our ATEM switcher. The first one is going to be hue. That is basically color. And the color we're after is the color green. We're going to tell it to remove green from the actual thing. Then we're going to play with gain, and what's the other one we're going to play with is suppress. Those are 2 underneath. I'll show you what they do. And we're also going to be playing with, well, we're not going to be playing with lift. I will do it just to show you, but when you've got these 4 very, very cheap softbox lights on your cheap green screen, you'll realize that when you've set them up like we just had a bit of walk around, you don't really have to use lift. So let's have a look at this now. We've got a little globe sitting here on the table, as you can see if I cut across to the screen. So I've got a globe. You can see the chairs are sitting there. I'm going to show you what happens when I play with the grain. So I'm going to knock the grain down a little bit, and it's probably not going to do anything. I'll push it up, and you see what it does to all the chairs, sends them all that lovely sparkly color. So let's just pull that off. Suppressor is going to basically do the same thing. If I start pulling suppressor, you can see what it's doing in that region. Let's just bring it back. The globe is obviously showing a map of Australia there, where we are. Now lift, we don't need lift because we've got good lighting and we won't be bothering about that. So, the ATEM switches are not famous for how great they are at green screen. Now, I've deliberately left this up. Now, I have put some creases in this for you, so you can see some creases moving around in that. You can see the joint at the back. You can see where we've tucked it in around the bottom and everything like that. So, no cheating. Let's see what happens. So, the first one we're going to play with is going to be hue. So, let's start increasing our hue. Now, the one thing I do click on the ATEM, when you go to the upstream keyer and you have a look, you'll have what's called a narrow range key. Just click the narrow range key, that will be a lot better for you, and slowly slide your hue up. And as you come in, you can see it then starting to kick in. So you can see what's happening there. Now you've got that kind of a grey. We'll just keep pushing it a little bit further, and we've gone too far. So let's go back to where we had that bit of an image there forming in the background. That tells me that we've got a grey looking colour. We can still see the crease, but we can see the background picture starting to form. Let's play a little bit with our gain, sliding the gain up a little bit and seeing, oh, and there you go. Oh, and the magic all starts to happen, doesn't it? Just a little bit of playing. So what we did is we tried to get a picture first in the grey like that, and then what I do with the gain is I slide my gain up very slowly until I go, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. I've got my colour back in my globe. I can see a little bit of green around the edges of the globe, so let's just pick now with what's called our suppress. You'll see suppress will start to darken, but look at the chairs. Look what it's doing to the top of the chairs. And these are some of the things that you play with. So we'll just bring that back slightly. We can even brighten it up, and you can just play. See the line has now come back in. So if I bring up my suppress, gone. Bring it in, the line in that corner has gone. Let's play around with this a little bit. Not too happy with that at the moment, but that's not bad for a cheap green screen look. Now we'll just play with our hue. Let's bring back that color, fractionally off. Let's see what happens if I play with this. And you can see, you can just play around with this. And then when you've got it, you just save your settings. So let's bring the screen back. Lovely. That is actually looking pretty good. That is a cheap green screen, guys. Well, there you go, guys. Cheap green screens. Couple of cheap green screens, great effects going on there. 4 cheap eBay softbox lights are the cheapest I could find, just to prove a point. And look, you saw the creases, so you don't have to worry about that. I think this key is knowing how to use those sliders, and I hope I helped you out a little bit there, showing you how I get the gain and suppression about halfway. Then I use the hue slider to get that grey picture that's just coming through, then use the gain, then use the suppress. Do it in that order, and you can have some really, really good results. And I really hope you enjoyed that and get a lot out of it. And hey, you want some background pictures, go onto a free website, say like Pixabay, grab some pictures, have some fun, do some experimenting. And for those of you who are patrons, We are now going to go to behind the scenes on growing a successful business. And as per usual, we're going to have a workbook going with that. So thanks to our patrons, stick around. That's coming up right now. If you're not already a patron, but you want to grow a business, you want to know behind the scenes of how to grow a successful business, then why don't you click through, have a look for yourselves. All our programs come with the workbooks. That's what we're trying to do for everyone, no matter where you are in the world. So I hope you really enjoy that. Hope you enjoyed the green screen, guys. But as I say, no matter what techniques, what information, and all that, and the equipment that we use, the number one secret to being successful, whether you're online or offline, is be authentic. Dare to be you.